Picture a familiar scene playing out across millions of kitchen tables right now. A man sits down with a cup of coffee, tears open an envelope from the Social Security Administration, and starts running his finger down a list of projected numbers for age 62. He's looking at what he'll receive if he retires early, based on his own work history and his own contributions. Many couples view their retirement income the same way they've handled their bank accounts for decades. They use a simple additive logic. My check plus your check equals our total income. Standard retirement planning typically focuses on the break-even point or life expectancy, but those calculations often overlook the specific mechanics of the survivor benefit. Within a marriage, the timing of one person's claim directly influences the other person's future income. Choosing the age 62 payout locks in the specific monthly amount a surviving spouse will eventually receive. To see how this functions in practice, consider a couple named John and Mary. John earned a higher salary during his career, so his projected benefit is larger than Mary's. While they are both alive, they receive two separate checks. Those streams flow together to fund the household. This combined pool pays for shared infrastructure, the mortgage or rent, property taxes, utilities, and a vehicle. As long as both spouses are alive, these two incoming checks are perfectly balanced to support one shared life. If John passes away first, the household enters a phase where the math changes significantly. Most household expenses are fixed. Property taxes do not decrease when a person dies, and maintenance costs for a home remain the same. Furthermore, personal medical costs often increase in later years. While these expenses stay the same or rise, the incoming revenue drops as one check disappears from the account. The Social Security system only allows a surviving spouse to keep the larger of the two checks. The smaller check is permanently removed. This creates a paradox where the survivor must maintain the same household infrastructure with a fraction of the previous income. Mary is now living entirely on the single check John left behind. If we trace this specific check back to that original decision at age 62, the long-term consequence becomes clear. Because John chose to take a reduced payout early, the survivor's check Mary receives now is smaller than it would have been if he had waited. The survivor benefit is not based on Mary's current cost of living. It is tied to the choice John made decades earlier. Social Security functions as the primary tool for maintaining household continuity after a loss. Decisions made at the start of retirement set the fixed income level for a surviving spouse decades later. If you spend any time reading retirement advice online, you will inevitably run into the exact same warning. The Social Security Trust Fund is running dry, so you need to claim your money at age 62 before it disappears. That advice relies entirely on short-term panic. It treats claiming Social Security as an individual race to grab cash, completely ignoring the mechanical reality of how the system treats married couples. Look at this simplified household ledger. The baseline logic of Social Security is that a surviving spouse is entitled to inherit the deceased earner's benefit. But there is a strict cap. The absolute maximum the survivor can receive is locked to exactly what the deceased spouse was entitled to at the time of their death. If the primary earner decides they want to retire early and claims their benefits at age 62, their monthly check shrinks permanently. They accept a lifelong reduction in exchange for getting the money sooner. Now, watch what happens when that primary earner passes away. The smaller of the two household checks disappears. The surviving spouse is left with only the primary earner's check, which is permanently locked at that reduced rate. This creates a sudden, severe income shock. The household loses an entire monthly check, and the one check that remains has already been minimized by a decision made years or even decades earlier. Understanding this specific baseline rule is the only way to protect your spouse. If you don't factor this into your timing, you can easily sabotage your household's late life stability. The pressure to claim at 62 is entirely understandable. You might want to travel while you're healthy, pay off a lingering mortgage, or you simply want the peace of mind of having cash in hand right now. But that immediate injection of cash exacts a permanent structural cost on your household's future purchasing power. This comparison timeline shows exactly how that penalty is applied. By taking the top path and claiming at the age 62 gate, the system instantly carves away a substantial percentage of your benefit. As long as both spouses are alive and relatively healthy, that penalty might feel manageable. You have two incomes and your expenses are predictable. The real cost remains dormant. But fast forward to a mortality event. The surviving spouse is suddenly forced to absorb rising inflation and long-term care costs, armed only with that diminished check. You cannot calculate whether to claim at 62 or wait until 70 based on just your own life expectancy. The math simply doesn't work if you isolate it to one person. Claiming at 62 is an active decision to prioritize immediate cash today at the direct expense of your spouse's financial safety tomorrow. Now let's look at the alternative strategy. What happens if the higher earner sacrifices that short-term cash and waits to file? Doing this requires immediate trade-offs. You have to bridge the income gap by working a few years longer or by spending down your 401k and personal savings. On the bottom timeline, waiting at the age 70 gate rewards you with delayed retirement credits. The monthly benefit grows significantly larger every year. When the primary earner passes away, that maximized check transfers entirely to the surviving spouse. The credits remain intact. That maximized check provides a highly effective, inflation-protected income floor to defend against the staggering costs of long-term care. People often try to calculate the break-even point, guessing exactly how long they need to live to make delaying worth it. But generating those delayed credits is the cheapest, highest-yielding life insurance policy a primary earner can secure for their partner. Delaying until 70 takes real effort and planning upfront. In return, it guarantees an undeniable safety net that will protect the surviving spouse for the rest of their life. Even if the primary earner delays and maximizes that check, the Social Security system has another layer of complexity that can still erode the survivor's funds. Most people assume that their personal full retirement age, or FRA, is exactly the same target date they need to hit to collect their survivor benefits. It isn't. The system uses a completely separate timeline called the survivor full retirement age. The exact age depends specifically on the year you were born. To help with the difficult transition of losing a spouse, Social Security allows widows and widowers to access their survivor benefits early, starting at age 60 or 50 if they are disabled. If the surviving spouse claims that money early, the system applies another permanent penalty, slicing down the benefit. This creates an incredibly tense cash flow problem. The surviving spouse urgently needs the money to replace the lost household income, but taking it immediately triggers a systemic reduction. If the primary earner claims early, and the surviving spouse also claims their benefit early, the household suffers a devastating double reduction. The purchasing power of that final check is permanently crippled. With these mechanics in mind, we can move past the internet rumors and determine exactly who the early claiming strategy is actually built for. We can map out your options on this claiming horizon chart, looking at your household structure on the horizontal axis and your specific financial needs on the vertical axis. Claiming at 62 belongs right here. It is a mathematically sound strategy for single individuals facing shortened life expectancies, or for couples who have identical, high-earning work records where the survivor benefit is moot. If you are the primary earner with a younger or lower-earning spouse, you fall into this quadrant. Delaying your claim is the mandatory baseline approach to ensure your spouse is protected. Before you sign any paperwork with the Social Security Administration, you need to answer a few basic questions about your specific survivor FRA and how your household would actually handle an income shock. Do not make a permanent, irrevocable choice about your benefits based on the fear that the system is running out of money. You have to plan for the entire lifespan of your household. The timing decision you make today will dictate the exact financial trajectory your spouse will have to live with tomorrow. Knowing the heavy impact of survivor benefits doesn't mean we expect every single couple to wait until age 70 to claim. Real life is messy. It rarely fits perfectly into the neat rows of an Excel spreadsheet. Eventually, you and your spouse are going to walk into a Social Security office, sit across from an agent, and prepare to put your signature on an official claim form. Before you sign that irreversible document, you need to sit down together and run through a mandatory 5-question stress test. These 5 specific questions provide an objective assessment of your retirement plan's health before you commit to a decision. Use this diagnostic tool to evaluate your actual situation before calling in a financial expert or filing your paperwork. Passing this test separates a strategic, defensive plan from a short-sighted, irreversible gamble. Question 1. Between the two of you, who has the significantly larger projected benefit? Take a look at this diagram. We have two timelines. The thicker one represents the higher earner's check. That larger check forms the absolute survival income floor that will protect both of you in your final years. Notice how the thinner timeline can move left. The spouse with the smaller check has the flexibility to claim early without causing catastrophic long-term damage to the household. But look at the higher earner. Shifting that timeline left locks in a permanent penalty, which will eventually be the only benefit the surviving spouse receives. Question 2. What is the physical health disparity between the two of you? It is common for the higher earning spouse to have health issues. They look at their life expectancy, worry they won't live long enough to break even, and feel the urge to claim immediately. But consider the other side of the equation. What if the lower earning spouse has strong family genetics and a high probability of living into their 90s? It is natural for the sick earner to want to pull money out of the system while they still can. However, acting on that impulse leaves the healthy surviving spouse with a crippled income stream to fund 2 decades of living entirely alone. Waiting to claim the larger benefit secures an insurance policy for the healthy spouse, regardless of how long the higher earner lives. Question 3 asks you to confront the day after. What happens when one of those checks suddenly disappears? Here is a stress test for your household budget. These 2 gold arrows represent your dual income streams, covering your rigid expenses, your mortgage, your insurance, and your utilities. The mathematical reality of widowhood is harsh. Overnight, up to 50% of your household income is wiped out. Your property taxes, homeowner's insurance, and electric bills do not drop by 50% just because your spouse passed away. Claiming early strips away the financial margin you will need to cover these unyielding overhead costs. Question 4. Do you know your exact survivor full retirement age? This number is often different from your standard retirement age, and it dictates the exact percentage of money you will receive. You cannot guess this number. You must verify the exact mathematical age on the official SSA portal or by speaking directly with an agent. Assuming standard retirement rules apply to survivor benefits leads to accidental, permanent penalty reductions. If you ignore your specific survivor timelines and your fixed household costs, a comfortable retirement eventually becomes a guaranteed crisis for the surviving spouse. Question 5. Are there alternative cash flow solutions to avoid tapping Social Security prematurely? The panic of needing money right now to pay immediate bills is real and significant. This brings us to the concept of a cash flow bridge. We have temporary assets, like a 401k or part-time income, forming the planks of this financial bridge. Strategically drawing down your 401k, liquidating some assets, or taking on part-time work funds the initial years of your retirement. While you use this bridge, your delayed Social Security benefit expands significantly in size and turns a deep, vibrant gold. People often struggle with loss aversion. It is psychologically difficult to spend down your liquid retirement accounts early. Drawing down these accounts allows you to purchase a permanent, inflation-protected insurance policy for the survivor. Solving a temporary cash flow problem with a permanent cut to Social Security is the most expensive shortcut you can take. Our goal here isn't to dictate an arbitrary claiming age or force you into a one-size-fits-all plan. These 5 questions act as a mirror, forcing you to look at the long-term reality of the choices you make today. Avoid guaranteeing tomorrow's poverty just to alleviate today's short-sighted cash flow anxiety. Social Security provides a defense mechanism for the surviving spouse, ensuring they do not outlive their income. Picture the person, your spouse, who will be left alone to live with the permanent results of your signature. Their long-term safety should be the central focus before you ever click claim.